All right, I am here with Jeff today. Jeff, we are going to do a iron fitting for you. Okay. I know you've kind of talked a little bit about the reason that you're in here, all the things you're looking for. Really, I just want to give you an idea of kind of how the process is going to go. So we got the interview piece done. We've kind of understood sort of where you're at, what you're looking for. What I'm going to have you do is hit a bunch of shots with your 7-iron. So we'll just get some data to sort of use this as a control club to compare against. So we'll get that data, and then we'll talk through what the numbers are, and then based off of what we see, we'll test some different clubs with different heads, different shafts to figure out which one makes the most sense for you.
All right.
Seem okay?
Sounds awesome, yeah.
Cool. Let's start hitting.
I've never had clubs.
Okay.
These are all secondhand given to me.
Okay.
I like these Hanmas, but if I can get something that's a little bit more, give you the biggest or best players clubs out there.
Okay.
And I'm fine with that. Anything to help me, because I'm not a pro. I just want to have fun while I'm out there, basically.
Okay. What's a typical 7-iron for you?
About 165, I would say. Anything plus 160 is about a 7 for me, about light 7. I'm not the hardest swinger.
Okay.
So I will always pretty much do like 80% all the time. So I feel like I just make better contact that way. But I would say like between 155 to 165 is kind of where I'm landing my 7-iron.
Okay, so that's your carry distance.
That would be my carry. Sorry.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure that we were talking about the same thing.
Are we? Or was that what you were?
Carry
Okay,
distance
cool.
is what I'm looking for.
Thank you. That's all I'm looking for. Okay.
So with an iron, I don't care how far it rolls. I need to know how far it's going to fly in the air.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, cool. We're on the same page. Yeah.
On your miss hits, more to the right, more to the left.
Usually to the right like that, and then I'll try to overcorrect it, and then it'll start hooking like try to pull it in to out.
Okay.
Then overcorrect it, and then you'll start to see them kind of pulling that way. So, but I try to not do that. But I think contact wise, it's usually fat is how I miss them, or really blading them like that.
So I think we've got 4 pretty decent shots, so we can come over here and talk through sort of what's going on. All right, Jeff, so you hit a few 7-irons. We got some pretty good data here to look at. I really just want to kind of familiarize you with sort of what you're looking at on the screen. So we've got these different gauges here that are different colors. Obviously, green is good, yellow is not so good, red is really not good, okay? And then all these different gauges up here that kind of tell us like the different numbers for the average of the shots you hit. So I know you brought up the point in the interview of like you want to have a little bit more backspin.
Yes.
Okay. Your irons on average have around 3,600 RPMs of backspin of the 7-iron. That is extremely low. You need to get that higher.
I need to get higher. Okay.
On average, typically when we're going through a fitting, you're looking for that number, depending on how fast you swing, typically between 4,000 and 5,500 with a 7-iron. Sometimes maybe a little higher if you swing a little faster, but like for you at 3,600, you can see how that's really, really low on that gauge. Yeah. We need to get you a lot higher. So that'll help with your stopping power. Your launch angle is actually really good. You're right in the middle of the green. Typically I'm looking for between 15 and 20. You're at 17 and a half, so that's awesome. You're offline, you're only about 12 yards off, so fairly straight for a 7-iron. That's not too bad, right? I know you said you were the most consistent in your group, so that's a good thing. This descent angle number, that's just the angle the ball's landing. Okay. Okay, so you combined that with sort of the backspin, that's your stopping power. Okay. All right, so kind of like what you described, increasing the spin. I'm guessing you hit a lot of shots that hit the green, just roll off the back.
Every time.
Yep, so changing those 2 variables is really what we're trying to do. Your average carry distance was right around 153, so kind of in that ballpark you were talking about. What I'd like to do is try a couple of different heads, some different shafts maybe, just to try to get this backspin number to be a little higher. Okay. So let's build one, we'll test it out, and then see what we get.
Perfect. Love it. Getting fitted versus just going to PGA or any other retail and buying clubs off the rack. What's the benefit of, I mean, I'm not a taller guy, but I'm not a short guy. Would those clubs kind of fit me as like it's built for the average? Or
yeah, so I think the biggest thing for you is obviously we've identified there's a problem with how much you spin the golf ball, right? So when you're looking at just clubs off the rack, oftentimes you're not going to know the exact specifications unless you're talking to somebody and they can actually tell you what's going on. So for example, a lot of the clubs that are more geared towards like game improvement for your typical like higher handicaps, the people that aren't very good and consistent, the lofts on those 7-irons, that the clubs that we would be testing are going to be a lot stronger. So for you, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It's just if you're really struggling to create height and create spin, think of it this way in terms of if everything else was equal and you were a robot, you hit the ball the exact same way every time, if I reduce the amount of loft you had on a golf club, you're going to spin it less.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. It's just if you're going to buy something off the rack and you don't know these things, you could potentially make a choice that actually makes your problem worse.
Okay.
So I think there's the value of going through a fitting of not only finding the correct length, but also being able to talk about the correct club head with the correct loft, with all the different things that go into it, just making sure that it makes sense for you and the problems that you struggle with.
Perfect.
So that's really why we're doing this.
Awesome.
For you, the first club we're going to test, we're going to go to Titleist. So we're going to test the T200. This club has just a little bit more loft than your 7-iron currently, which is hopefully going to help us get the ball up in the air. Your current 7-iron's at about 29 degrees.
Okay.
This one's going to have a little bit more in the 30s. So I've also gone with a little lighter shaft. So this should help again with creating a little bit more backspin, helping keep the ball up in the air. So let's hit a few of this. Let's test it out and see what we got.
Perfect. Thanks. That felt great.
Solid.
So I just need to take a breath, talk to you a little bit.
Okay. All right, Jeff. So we hit a few with the Titleist T200. Saw some good changes. You commented a couple times about how it looks like it's going a little higher. So that's a good thing. Your ball speed, which is the rate that the ball comes off the face, pretty much the same, very similar. You got an extra mile an hour, which will help you with some of the distance, right? But our main goal is really to increase the stopping power, okay? So your backspin went from 3,600 to a little over 4,000, so a 400-ish RPM increase, which is really, really good. That's gonna help you stop the ball faster. Your launch angle went up, which again, I would expect with a little bit more loft on the 7-iron. That's probably what should happen, but it's still within that green kind of range that we want. Like I said, I'm looking for between 15 and 20. You're just a shade over 20, so totally fine there. Offline was very similar. The thing that I really like is your descent angle went up by about 6 degrees.
It wasn't even on the chart.
Correct. Yeah, you didn't even see it on the gauge over there. Now you're close to 40.
Okay.
Ideally, on a shot hit into a green, you'd want something close to 45.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's what we have to get to, but that's really like the objective sort of in my mind of what I'm working you towards. 39 is way better than 33.
Yep.
That's kind of where I'm living. So not only did we see the backspin go up and the descent angle go up, you also carried the ball about 6 yards further. So that's also really cool to see. I want to try some other options for you though, to again, just continue to try to increase the backspin and the descent angle just a little bit more, just to help you get that stopping power while still not losing some distance. So I think we've got a good option there for sure, but let's try a couple others and see if we can get something even better.
Cool. Perfect.
Okay, so we've got the TaylorMade P790. We're gonna switch gears, try this one. Again, what I've done is I've changed the loft on this. So I've added a degree just to make it, again, a little bit more lofted to help keep the ball in the air, hopefully create a little bit more spin. We're going with a lighter steel shaft than what you have and a regular flex. So hit a couple with that one. Let's see what we get, and we'll take a look at the numbers afterwards.
Awesome.
Probably has a similar look to your current tire.
Yeah. Not too crazy, right?
All right, Jeff. So P790, we saw a lot of really similar numbers to the T200 that we tested first. Ball speed was pretty much the exact same. Your backspin was on average like 80 RPMs off, so like nothing you would even probably notice. Still higher than what you currently have, which is really the objective. So I like that as well. Your launch angle was pretty much the same. The biggest difference we saw, honestly, between the two was just your offline. You hit the P790 about 5 yards straighter on average. So I mean, there's something to be said for that. This one was still pretty similar on distance, like a couple, you know, you're talking a yard, 2 yards difference in the carry. So really, really similar options. I know you said you really liked that one and kind of how it looked.
It just felt more comfortable looking down at it. And I don't know if that's just a, I have no idea what it is. It just felt closer to what I'm used to.
It's totally fine. It's totally fine. That's why we're testing this. Again, I would say right now you've got two really good choices. You can't really go wrong with either one. Let's build a third option here. And again, the goal is just to try to get that backspin and that descent angle as high as we can, just to try to help you with that stopping power. So we'll build another one that's pretty similar to these two. We're just going to go with maybe something that's a little bit higher loft just to see what that does.
Okay.
And then we can make a decision and go from there.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right, so last one, we're gonna try the Mizuno. We're gonna go with the JPX 925 hot metal, okay? So this one actually has a little bit more similar loft to your current 7-iron. Okay, so we're gonna kind of go back that route. However, I've given you the exact same shaft that you just hit in the last one. So it's that same dynamic gold 95 R300. So hit a few of that one. Let's see if anything changes from a backspin and launch perspective.
There might just be no fixing it.
And that might be the case too. And if that's the case, we'll have a conversation about it. Okay, Jeff, so we just wrapped up. We've done all 3 test clubs. So I just want to kind of walk you through what we've done so far. So start out with your original control club, your Hanma 7-iron. We saw some shots carrying right around 153. The biggest thing is we were just trying to change the backspin, right? We were at 3,600 on average. Your descent angle was just under 34 degrees. So we're really just trying to up that. First one we tried was the Titleist T200. We saw a really good increase in the backspin. It jumped up about 400 RPMs. Your launch angle went up and your descent angle went up to just under 40 degrees. So that was really good. We also saw 6 more yards. So super, super good. That's a great option. Like, you wouldn't be wrong picking that one. The next one we tried, which was the TaylorMade P790. We switched from the steel fiber shaft to a dynamic gold. Saw the ball speed, it's kind of in the same realm. The backspin was in the same realm. Launch was pretty similar. I think the biggest difference with that one was just the offline, right? You were hitting that like 5 yards straighter, similar distance, similar descent. So again, a really good choice, okay? The last one we tried was the Mizuno. So we went with the 925 hot metal high loft. That's really the one that I think is giving you the best results. Your ball speed was the highest. Your backspin was actually close to 4,300. So the highest of all of the different clubs we tried. Your launch angle was still right around that 20 degrees. So totally fine with that. Nothing needs to change there. Offline was under 10 yards on average. So really, really good as far as like how straight you hit it. And then the really cool number was your descent angle. You got it almost to 41 degrees on average. So that one I think gives you the best chance to stop the ball the quickest, which was really your goal. The other cool part about this is because of how much of a ball speed increase you saw, you actually are hitting it much further. Like, we saw almost 10 yards versus your current club as far as carry distance. So not only will you hit it further, but you can also stop it faster. So kind of 2 in 1.
Yeah.
So based off of all that, I mean, again, any of these options are really, really good. You've got 3 really good choices. Which one do you want to go with?
I think I'm going to stick with the Mizuno. They just felt the most comfortable looking over the ball.
Okay.
The data kind of feels better. I don't know if the ball speed went up because I was more confident, but all in all, it all goes in the right direction.
For sure.
But that's kind of what I was looking for on backspin. So
cool, man.
I think that's what I'm going to go with.
No, I think this will give you a great option. This is going to help you with that stopping power that you talked about, and you're not going to lose any of the consistency. So you'll still be the straightest hitter in your group.
That's right. Yeah, perfect. Keep it consistent.
Cool, cool. So we've got a really good option there. I think the Mizuno's the one, and we'll get that spec'd out for you, and off we go.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Great job,
Appreciate it,
man.
Appreciate everything.
Really good.
Thanks.